uplift, upbeat for the people that we're doing. One thing I will ask you is whether or not this camera is a better one for you. I'll just, I've actually lost the controls on here. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
So I can just ask you, which camera is a better camera for you? This one for reception, I've got two, or this one? Or this one?
Both work fine, ma'am. So you can choose any one of them.
Okay, well, I've got one as a backup just in case something goes wrong. It's just I'm feeling that the lighting on this one's a little bit too bright, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. Because it's quite dark here. It's nighttime here. It's quarter to 8:30 here at night. So yeah.
Yes. We'll just wait for a few more minutes for people to join. You have your slides prepared. I'll start with a brief introduction about EDvantage India. Then I'll introduce the topic for today. And then you can share your views about the topic, and then you can share all your presentation and everything. And after that, we will have a question and answer round first between me and you, and then we can ask the participants for their questions, what they want to ask, which I'll relay to you.
Yep, that's fine. So the presentation is mainly a keynote. And it's also interaction. So am I going to be able to see the participants? Because it actually works better if I can see the participants.
We'll try for that, but since there are going to be many participants, so it can become a problematic situation. So we'll definitely try.
Can I see a couple of them, or you'll have to actually do some of this yourself?
Yeah, we can try that. Nikhil, can you hear us?
Sir, it's Ayush today.
Oh, Ayush. Okay. Ayush, can you make some of the participants, unmute and show their videos when they are, asking questions or anything?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So they don't have to be unmuted, just so I can see some heads. so it's a bit interactive. So tell me, while we've got some time, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, I'm actually a final year student in college. I'm pursuing engineering in petroleum engineering, AP gas, applied petroleum engineering with specialization in gas. I'm from the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies. And currently life has slowed down due to the pandemic situation. I've been at home since, I guess, March now, when we had a break for one of our holidays. I went back to college for a few days, and then they suddenly announced the whole vacation over the pandemic. So came back and never to go back to college again.
So college is now permanently from home. Is that what's happening in India as well?
Yeah, actually.
Wow. Yeah, well, I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and we are in stage 4 lockdown, and I can't go further than 5 kilometres, and I have a nighttime curfew at 8 p.m. at night, 5 a.m. in the morning, and we have to wear a mask if we go out. Huge fines, and we can't go and see anyone or have anybody over.
The situation is similar in India. The only difference is that we have started with the unlockdown thing, where now our curfews have changed. Like now we have earlier we also had a curfew from somewhere around 8 to morning 5 or 6, and then it changed from 10 to 6. And now they have removed the curfew during the night period. And if you wanna go and if you have something important to do, something that you can't just ignore, so you can actually go out and get your work done.
Oh well, that's something. That's
something. Yeah. So but then in some states there are weekend lockdowns. Like in my state, I'm in the city Gurgaon, which is in the state of Haryana. So in my state, there's a weekend lockdown. So on Saturday and Sunday there's a lockdown, because earlier the cases were 100 cases a day, and there was a good people were recuperating from the coronavirus. But since the last few days, the cases suddenly reached 900 cases a day, and with
900.
yeah, so and with death cases being because we had many holidays just the past few weeks. We had a holiday known as Raksha Bandhan, where brothers and sisters, siblings visit each other, and it's a holiday for the siblings. So they visit
Oh.
interstate. Then we had our Independence Day, so people gathered around to hoist the flag. So due to that, there was a situation where there was a hike. So that's why we are observing weekend lockdowns now. On the Saturdays and Sundays, the shops and everything are closed. Otherwise, the weekdays are going just like we are normalizing basically.
Oh, not here.
Yeah.
We've got lockdown until minimum the 13th of September, and then maybe we'll go down to stage 3. So we don't know. It's because we have a lot of people not following the rules here, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the same case as there in India. That's why the cases suddenly spiked to 900. In a city itself, the cases spiked to 900 cases a day.
Yeah, well, we've gone down from, we had 700. We're very small. Imagine Victoria is very, very small. And today we were down to 140, but we've, we had 700, 900 in our state had nothing. And then all of a sudden, boom. So yeah, it's not good. And we've got a lot of deaths in the homes, unfortunately. Which is a bit sad for us, but it's not much we can do about that.
Now we are just waiting for the medicine and the vaccine to come out. Before that, nothing can be actually possible.
Yeah, well, that would be really good if that could happen. That would be absolutely wonderful. So, but we've got to wait for that, unfortunately.
That's the only thing that we are waiting for now these days.
Well, they say they've got one that's a possibility, but of course, they have to be testing it. And,
yeah.
It's not been tested, so at this point, it's a bit scary to be trying to take it at this point. So I'd say it would be at least 2 years before we've got one.
Yeah, it's going to take some time because without testing, there can be some repercussions and after effects, which some companies are also ready to, launch their set of vaccine or medicine, but they're, signing a document that if you have an after effect after 4 or 5 years, we are not responsible. So again, that is also very, you get cured today and after 5 years, you are getting something worse than the coronavirus itself. So that's
well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll just get this back up now. I've got my sound working a little bit better, which is good. So how do you know Nitish? Is he at the same business as you?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So how do you know Nitish Chundri?
Nitish is my superior in the same organization. He's in EDvantage, my superior, and he's also an alumni for my college. So that's how I know him.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's better. Hi, Nitish. I think the video is going very slow. Yeah, something's going on here. I've lost you. I seem to have lost you. I'm going to stop the share because I think that's upsetting things.
Hello.
Hello. I'm going to stop the share because I think that's upsetting stuff. I can't see anybody again. Here we go. All right. It seems that when I bring up the share, something's happening at your end if I bring up the share.
No issues. We'll just, you can stop the share for now. We'll just
I'll try it
start sharing.
again and see. I'll try it again for you. Just see what happens. Okay. Yeah, it makes the video lag.
Yeah, a bit.
So I might give that a miss.
You can for now you can unshare your screen, and when when you can when you're presenting your presentation, you can share the screen.
I'll cut off my video, and yeah, we'll go from that, I'd say. It seems to be okay now. All right, I'll leave it like that. It seems to be all right. So you just let me know when you want me to start, and or when you want to introduce me, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, sure thing. I'll just start with. We have a small PPT for our organization as well. I'll just start with that.
Yep. So have I got 5 minutes? Because if I've got 5 minutes, I'll go and grab a drink of water.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay, cool. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I think I might swap to the other camera because it takes up less, and it may actually be better if I use the separate camera. So we'll go from there, and we can swap it back if it plays up. The beauty of this one is that I can actually move it around if I need to, which is something. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Okay, so we'll go from that one, I think, and it might actually work better.
Okay, so we have some participants now. We are somewhere around 40 participants, so we'll just start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amartya Chakravarti. I am the Chief Marketing Officer with EDvantage India Resources Limited, and I'll be the host for today. I'll just talk about EDvantage India for the first few minutes, with moving on to the webinar. So EDvantage India, as you can see, our motto is learners today and leaders tomorrow. We are a e-learning platform which aim to guide students with various knowledge and various skills and various courses to improve the knowledge of students for the various industries and domains. Our team is a group of professionals endeavoring to construct a platform where young and dynamic people can come together and interact with the industry professionals, professors, and domain experts. EDvantage India is committed to excellence, pledging a student experience of the highest quality via a range of coaching techniques and methodologies. We create state-of-the-art training courses that offer students mind with competencies they wish to triumph at. Why EDvantage India? What distinguishes us from other similar organizations that is the fact that we strive for maintaining optimal quality. With every course and endeavor that we introduce, we have a team of 30 plus hardworking individuals who share a common goal. Our organization is also blessed with guidance of experienced industry professionals in the capacity of technical advisors. Every association with our organization is deemed to leave you with a life-changing experience, thus sticking to our motto, learners today and leaders tomorrow. Why e-learning? India was yet to experience the growth curve in online learning the way US and China had in the recent past. But the contemporary world has accelerated the growth by 5 to 7 years within a time of the few months. Our vision, we aspire to create an interactive platform for the students to amplify their competency and become aware of the proceedings all over the world. We aim to connect the students from various walks of life with the professionals in the domain of their interests. We will not only correspond with the technical aspects, but aim to cover the interpersonal skills as well. But talking about the past endeavors, we have had a directional drilling course, an exceptionally well-received course which witnessed massive participation from students and industry professionals alike. We had the drilling engineering and well construction course. It was our second technical course, which was a constructed experience roster of technical advisors. With over 100 plus registrations, this was a very well received course by the attendees. We had a aptitude quiz known as the Mind Martians quiz, which we conducted on the platform of My Sorts for students of colleges and schools. We had a webinar on well completion. We had a webinar on well completion accessories by Mr. Manish Verma, followed by a webinar on the importance of planning for startups in the oil and gas industry. These were our posters for the events that took place. Our upcoming endeavors are the course on personality development, which is free for the students who are pursuing the drilling engineering internship with us, which will commence from 5th September 2020. And we are also coming up with a course on data science in oil and gas, which commences from September. Our course, the personality development course with specialization in profile building, which will have the instructors Ms. Karen Lee Morrison, Mr. Sukriti Sinha, and Dr. Rachna Vasudev. So talking about today's webinar, our guest speaker for today's webinar is Ms. Karen Lee Morrison. No matter what we say, words fall short to describe who Karen is, but we shall try. She is an entrepreneur, a dynamic speaker, storyteller, LinkedIn conversionalist, strategic business analyst, happiness mentor, disability advocate. Ms. Karen has pursued her graduation from Melbourne School of Arts and Design and has done her master's in communication and media study. Talking about her experience, she has been the marketing director at MJM Steel, managing director at Karen Lee Private Limited, and now is currently the founder and CEO of Kazza's Corner. Main purpose of Kazza's Corner is to bring a smile on someone's face by delivering unique ideas, concepts, etc. So Ms. Karen Lee is going to be our speaker for today's topic, Business Blueprint, Mastering Your Mindset. We welcome you, Karen, ma'am.
Thank you, and hello everybody. As you said, I'm Karen Lee, I'm the founder of Kazza's Corner, and what I'm going to talk to you about today is actually in line with the fact that we're all suffering through a current crisis, and it's the pandemic of coronavirus. Originally, when I wrote this keynote, I was actually going through my own crisis. However, now we've got a worldwide crisis, and today I'm going to teach you and talk you through how you can actually become accountable for what's going on in your life and to put the stress aside and to embrace everything that happens for you, not happening to you. So we are currently in such a crisis that's led to many of us feeling very lost and a little bit anxious, I suppose. And I'm going to go to my next slide. I want you to mark the calendar today as the day of your independence, because today I'm going to share with you how you can take back control of your life and no longer let the virus infiltrate you. And if you may have lost your job, you may have found that you are stuck at home, or you can't study because you've got children in the way, you've got a husband and a wife, you're all jammed in together in the one house. What I can show and teach you today is how you can learn to adapt and still be able to smile and come through that. So today is a new direction for you. Today, I'm going to lead you to the 3 choices that you have in life, because that is what we have. It is only 3 choices. It is as simple as that. You might find that a little bit hard to believe, but when we embrace the 3 rules of life, it opens up our world and it becomes quite vast. And the opportunities, once we embrace those 3 rules, makes life so much more bearable for everybody, and for us, and for the people that we work with, and for our loved ones. So what are those 3 choices? Well, before I take you into those 3 choices, what I want you to do is to close your eyes. And I'm going to switch off my video for now because I want you to do something for me. So I'm just going to mute my video. I want you to close your eyes, breathe in deeply through your nose, and then exhale and open your eyes and read the following. And repeat the following. Nothing or no one will have domain over your life. You will look at every situation that gives you angst and use the 3 rules to take ownership back. You may find the next section just a little bit difficult, and yet it's needed for you to push past and change your current mindset and your situation. These little micro steps that we're about to take will help us every day and move us towards the compound effect of a much more enjoyable and wonderful life. When we're little and young, we learn to blame everybody and everyone for things that go wrong in our life. It starts when we're very, very young. When we understand that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us, then our life will change. And understanding that your life is your own, you and you alone have made the choices that have brought you here today. And you are responsible for what you did, you are responsible for what you didn't do and yet could have. And you are also 100% responsible for how you reacted to what happened to you. And unless you have been physically forced to do something, what has happened up to this point has all been choices made by you. So from today, there are to be no more blaming, making excuses or reasons why you are not happy with your life. And if you are the only one that is unhappy with your life, you are the only one that can change it. So today, embrace the life you are leading or change it. I'll put my screen back on now. I can find it. Oh, I've lost the control. I can't find the screen back on here for some reason. Are you able to put my video back on, Amatra?
Ayush, can you send ma'am a request to turn on a video?
Yeah, it's the controls have left me. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was wondering why I couldn't start it. So, what are the 3 main things in life? What we choose to do, what we choose not to do, and how we react to what happens to us. And those 3 things in our life control everything in our life. And we are the only ones that have responsibility for that. We're the only ones that can change that. And I know people say, look, I've stayed where I am because I can't leave my job. Well, that's a choice that you make. And the reasons behind why you stay in that job are yours and yours alone. However, if you don't like your job, then leave. If you choose to stay because you feel you must stay in that job, then learn to embrace and love that particular job. Because if you hate what you're doing, you need to stop what you're doing. Or learn to love what you're doing so then you can enjoy it and life changes. Because when we sit there and decide that we don't like what we're doing and continually do it, we become extremely unhappy inwards in our life, and our health is then affected. So it's vitally important that people realize that if they're choosing to stay in a relationship with a partner, in a job, doing something that they don't want to do, or not reacting to maybe somebody doing something to them and not taking it further and saying, I don't want you to do that to me anymore, then you are being complicit in what's going on in your own life. So for us, we must all learn how to take control of our lives. You know, choosing joy, laughter, and smiling is something that I choose every morning when I awaken. Now, a little bit about me. I wasn't always like this. This happened to me when I was a young woman of 31. I was renovating a house, and we were under a lot of stress going on in our relationship with my husband, and many financial stresses were happening. And one afternoon I was out the back with my girlfriend, and I banged into the back of a light switch. And when I did that, it triggered off an autoimmune disease, which I've now been suffering for over 27 years. It triggered off rheumatoid arthritis, and it affected my eyes, my lungs, my muscles, my joints, and my bones. And it has been quite horrendous to go through that. Now, I made a choice back then that I was going to be stoic, and I was going to survive, and I was going to, get through all of this. But what I didn't realize that I was internally very, very unhappy, and I pushed down that unhappiness. And what happened was it culminated in my inner being saying, hey, you're ignoring me. You're not listening to me. And in the end, my immune system started to break down, because outwardly I looked like I was coping. Inwardly, I wasn't coping. And even though on the outside it appeared as though I was all right and I was doing very well, because this disease was quite painful and it really did devastate my life, at the end of the day, I didn't actually take control of my own life. I put up with a relationship was quite toxic, and it manifested in some terrible health issues. Now, when did I take back my life? Well, I took my life back in January 2019. I decided I did not want to do what I was currently doing. I didn't like running the two businesses I was running. I was very successful at it. However, I wasn't having much joy in it. And I had what I call my aha moment, which is a crisis moment. And I realized that I was trying to fix everybody else, and I wasn't looking at me and fixing me. And we all need to put on our own oxygen masks first before we can help anybody else. And I realized I was looking in the mirror and I didn't love the person that I was. And until we love the people that we are, we can't really help ourselves. So my message to everybody is that what I would like you to be able to do is to look in the mirror of a morning and love who it is that you are being, and embrace who it is that you are being. Because if you're being someone else, it will affect you financially, it will affect you mentally, and it will affect the people around you. So it's not an easy thing to do. It was very difficult for me to do. However, I made that decision, and I went on to a journey of learning how to talk, learning how to speak. I started a number of different studies to reinvest and get my mindset looking at other things, happiness, laughter, yoga. It's been quite a wonderful journey, and I have never been happier in my life. So for me, if you're in a situation where you find that you do not like what it is you're currently doing, maybe it's your career, maybe your parents have forced you into a career that you don't want to do. Well, if you make that decision to stay in that career, then what you must learn to do is to embrace that career. We can gamify our life, and when we gamify our life, we make everything more enjoyable. Somebody's scribbling all over my screen over here. I'm just going to change that. I don't know how that's happening. Somebody's drawing hearts on my screen. Can you see what's going on over there?
Yeah, I can, and I'll just formally apologize for that.
I don't know who's doing that, but that's fine. Look, I can't control that. So I will tell you a story about controlling your emotions. So 6 years ago, I had an operation on my elbow. Now, it was very painful to sleep. So we went in and we thought, well, what we'll do is we'll have a look at it. We'll smooth off the elbow ball joint, and then it will release some of the pain. So I ended up in this wonderful bionic brace, and I looked like I was a bionicle. And 6 weeks later, I went in and it was time for my x-rays. So they put my x-rays up and I was looking at my x-rays and I could see 2 bones and nothing in the center. And I remember looking at the doctor and saying, where's my elbow joint? And he said, oh, Karen, we took that out. And I remember saying, what do you mean you took my elbow joint out? We never discussed that. And I was furious. And then I calmed down and I realized there's no point being angry about this because I can't change it. But what I did say to him was, we didn't discuss it. Why wouldn't you tell me that? And he said, well, you're quite right. We didn't discuss it. We made that decision while you were asleep and we thought it was best. Now, sometimes our decisions are removed from us. Sometimes we have no choice in some decisions because they are made for us. But the part of the accountability is to take responsibility for how you react to when that happens to you. So rather than me screaming and carrying on and yelling because I couldn't grow my elbow back, we had a discussion and he made a decision that he would not do that again and he would inform someone if there was the option that that may happen. So by being accountable for how my reaction was, I actually felt better. I did feel as though something had been taken away from me. However, I have learned that, I apologise for what's going on over there. I have learned that when we are accountable for our actions, then we can be responsible, we can be happier, and joy becomes something that is open to us. So at this point, if we want to wake up of a morning and we don't feel good in the morning, everybody can wake up like this. It's another morning. Or you can actually choose to wake up and do this. I choose every morning to wake up and smile because I can. And laughter and smiling are something that we can all choose to do. And if you don't feel like laughing, laugh anyway. And it does make you feel better. When we laugh and smile, our endorphins are released. Dopamine and serotonin are our happy drugs. We have access to our happy drugs whenever we want to. By smiling, we can actually trigger those off. And when you don't want to smile, there's some little tricks that you can do. You can sit there with a pen in your mouth, like this. And you sit there like this. Your body does not know that you aren't smiling. Your body thinks that you are smiling. And that then triggers off a little spark of happiness. And I do a little mantra in the morning, first thing. When you're in front of your mirror, so people think that maybe they're not achieving what they want. What you can do every morning in the mirror is say what you are. Like I can talk about the family mantra that I do. I'm a wonderful mother. I'm a fabulous sister. I'm a great aunt. You know, or you can talk about things that you are doing. I'm a wonderful brother. I am a great engineer. I am the perfect colleague, friend, confidant. Make yourself feel good. It's all about talking to yourself. The other thing that I recommend that you all do is to stop the garbage that is infecting your mind. We are overstretched with everything that comes in through the media, through the newspapers, through our friends, through politics, through everybody else who is talking negatively around us. When we ingest that, it affects us. It affects our mind, body, and soul. And so we must really protect our brains from having that come in to us. And you are the only one that can control that. The only one that can control what is coming inside your mind. So of a night time, learn how to switch off your media, learn how to switch off your phones, learn how to switch off your computers. And half an hour before going to bed, make sure that you have none of that. Don't take your phones to bed. It is the worst thing that is happening in our society, is that everybody is living with their face and their brains being sucked into their media gear. Now, I know everybody thinks that they need to take their phones to bed for their alarm, or because somebody might ring them, or because they need to do that last text message, but you don't need to be switched on 24/7. It's really unhealthy for you. So I do have a sleep routine, which I'll be happy to share with everybody after the webinar. And it's something that is vitally important, because we need to have, at least at our age, as we're an adult, between 7 to 8 hours sleep every night. Now, I can guarantee that most of you aren't sleeping 7 to 8 hours, because we don't go to bed early enough, and we have those phones. They're like our second hand, stuck under our pillow, or they're on our side table, or they're on the inside the slip covers, because we just feel the need to read those, to pick them up, and we've just got to access them non-stop. Now, if I could see everybody, I'd be asking hands up, who takes their phone to bed? I no longer take mine to bed. I used to sleep terribly because I believed I would never be able to sleep well. I was always told as a young girl I was a terrible sleeper. And in actual fact, that was just a story that was told to me, but I believed it. And how we grow up and what we're told as we grow up, we adopt that and we take that on board. You can change everything there is about you apart from your physicality. Well, you can go under the knife and change that. But apart from what you're born with, you can actually change the paradigms that are set in your brain from being a very young child. But it takes consistency. It takes a long time. And then eventually we have a compound effect of the change. It is much easier to change something that we love doing than it is to change into something that we don't like doing. For example, we can exercise every morning, and we can get that as a routine happening non-stop. We can go on holiday, and it can be so easy just to stop that routine and then replace it with a bad habit. It's so much easier to put bad habits in, and they are a lot easier to infiltrate us than a good habit. It's much easier to break a good habit. So I do have a list of routines that I love to share with people, so they can actually have a morning routine when they get up. Have a positive morning routine. Don't make it difficult. Make it easy. Make it something that you can do. Make you accountable for this routine. Don't put other people in charge of it. It's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility. And when it becomes your responsibility, then that means that you will follow it. And if you make it simple enough that you can check it off, then you will be more likely to do it. Now, if anybody is having trouble with their weight or their diet, most of the time, the reasoning behind that isn't that it's a thyroid issue, or it isn't because they've got heavy bones. Unfortunately, most of the time, it's the knife, fork, spoon, and plate, and what you put on it and you ate. And that is the issue. So things like your diet, when you decide that you want to actually change what you're eating, don't make it difficult. Make it easy for yourself. Don't go and buy the rubbish food and have it in your cupboard. That way you won't go and eat it. If it's not there and you have to make an effort to go and get it, then you're not less likely to want to eat it. So for me, it's been quite the journey to make a decision that I can do these things and I can have a wonderful life, the same as you can. If you see it, if you dream it, you can make it happen. If we set a list of goals and then set little micro steps to reach those goals, we are able to achieve a lot. And now that we've got this online learning ability, being stuck home is a wonderful opportunity for everybody to learn a new skill. Every day we can learn something new. Every day is possible for us to learn a new skill. It doesn't have to be a giant skill like learning a language, but it can be something new, a concept that we learn every single day. Finding out what your specific and unique talent is something that people don't often think about. We are all unique beings, every single one of us. Problem is that we don't know what our unique is. And to try and find what that is means that we have to sit and look at ourselves and then start to actually write down something about ourselves. And we tend not to want to do that because we're a little bit shy, or we think it's a bit of an ego thing to write something that we're good about ourselves. But take it from me, if you can sit down and write the things that you really enjoy doing, the things that you're passionate about, the things that are of interest to you, and then work out what it is that you think is your purpose in life. What would you like to be remembered for? What would your legacy be if you could be asked? And what would you put on your tombstone? So when you break it down into things like that, people start to think, well, if I died tomorrow, what am I going to be remembered for? Being in a job that I didn't like, being stuck in a relationship that I didn't like. Like I said, you can change all of that. It's not about being a 50-50 in a relationship. If you want your relationship to improve, you have to take 100% responsibility for yourself to improve that and forget about what your partner wants. It's what you're going to bring to the table. And for each and every one of you who have a unique talent that you might be good at something, learn how to be brilliant at that something. Indulge, expand, learn whatever you can about that and practice and practice and practice. The people who are successful are quite boring because what we do is the boring things, mundane, consistently, over time, always. And what happens in the end, it appears as though we've been overnight successes, but we're not. It's because we have done the boring things methodically, consistently, and always without missing it. And by doing that, we end up with a compound effect of success. So somebody who's wanting to lose a little bit of weight, they give up after 6 weeks because they don't see this giant change. But if you were to continue for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, you start to see a change. And then when it becomes a lifestyle change, in 12 months and 24 months, you will see a huge change. It's a bit like people who smoke. They say it's not affecting me, and they smoke for 30 years. But it's the 30th year, 1 day, 2 hours, that they are going to the doctors and saying, I've got a bit of a sore throat. And they find out that they've got cancer. So right up to that point, it hasn't affected them, but it's been a micro change right up to that effect and that end result. So we have to be careful for every single decision that we make and accept that that is our decision, that we've made that decision, and think about it. Take 5 seconds. So the next time a decision is going to be made by you and you're not quite sure, what I do is I count backwards from 5 before I open my mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that gives your brain enough time to possibly switch what the answer is going to be. So I'm actually really good at being able to turn the positive around. So if you give me something negative, I can see the positive in it. Coronavirus, I can see so many positives in that. Now I could look for all the negatives in it. I choose not to look for the negatives. I choose every day to look for what is positive in my day. Many of us have got terrible things that have happened in our lives. Some of us have got much sadness. Now we can dwell on that sadness, or we can choose not to dwell on that sadness. And it's okay to be sad for a short space of time. But then you must decide that you no longer want to be sad, because you can't let it overwhelm you. Coronavirus has more than just the fact that it's a physical virus. It's also a mental virus, and it's an economic virus. And what we've got to not allow it to do is to infect our minds, our mindset. Take control of it. What you can control is your environment and your immediate surroundings. You can't control what's going on with Donald Trump. You can't control what's going on with your government in India. But what you can control is what's directly in front of you, what surrounds you, the people in front of you, the people who are close to you. You can control your own proximity, and you can control what you do and what you choose to do. So I choose laughter, I choose happiness, and I choose to be upbeat and positive. And I choose to learn something while we've got this time. While we've got this time, utilize it. Don't look at it as something negative. Don't look at all of the deaths every day. They are things you cannot control. You can control by being careful with what you do, who you mix with, your family, washing your hands. What you can't control, though, is if somebody in your neighbourhood catches this disease and they die, you can't control that. You can be very sad about it, but try to protect your own sanity, because there's enough sadness going on, and try and look at the positive things in your life. So an exercise that I would normally do in an audience is switch on and say my name. So switch on, Karen. Whenever I'm thinking a little bit low, I switch on, Karen. Say your name and switch on. If you're thinking negatively about something, switch it around and say, what can I take out of this? What can I learn out of this? What is there that I can do with this? Instead of, why did this happen to me? Why does this keep happening to me? Change the way you question yourself. Use a positive question. I've stopped asking the why. For if somebody is not doing quite well, I say to them, what happened? Not, why didn't you change? If you believe that you are staying and doing what you're doing for a reason, I could ask you, what keeps you there? What keeps you in your job? What keeps you with the person that you're with? And that gives you the opportunity to talk about the positive reasons that you stay. And when we look at life like that, things change for us. There's a number of ways and a number of tricks that you can use rather than looking at the negative. Everybody wants to be negative. If I was to ask you, what don't you want in your life, you'll be able to tell me a list of things this long. If I was to ask you, what do you want in your life, or what would you want to be, you find that a little bit more difficult, because we're too invested in what we don't want rather than what we do want. So we need to start to look at things just a little bit outside the square. And I call it the balance box of life. And our balance box of life is our joy, our happiness, our breathing, our sleeping, our confidence, our job, our family, who we love. And all of those little boxes in our life have got a corner. Sometimes the corner is a drop. And sometimes we don't know whether to go left or right. There is no wrong, there is no right. What there is a choice that you make. And whatever that choice is, when you accept that it was your choice, then that's when your life will change. And not blame somebody else for the reasons that you made that choice, because you made that choice. And when you see that you made that choice, and then accept the consequences. There are consequences that happened to me back in January 2019 when I decided to leave my 34-year marriage. Huge consequences. It wasn't easy. It was a very difficult time. And I realized that I'd stayed too long. But I'd stayed for family. I'd stayed for religious reasons. I'd stayed for marriage vows. I'd stayed for everybody else. I didn't realize that I hadn't thought about me. I was staying for all of the reasons for everybody else, but I wasn't staying for me. So we have to look at the mirror and say, okay, why am I doing this? You can ask yourself, but no, ask, what is it that keeps me here? What is it that I want? And what is it that I can do to help improve things? And somebody else who can listen to you and really listen to you may be able to help you to reach a different conclusion as to what it is that you want in your life. And that's something else that many of us don't do. We don't listen. We don't really listen because we are biased for what we're listening to. We don't understand because we put our history and our reasoning behind why we think they should go or why we think it could be better if they did something else, because we're not them. Everybody looks through a prism very differently. So I could look at a photograph and I would see something totally different to what you would see. So I could look at a photograph of a dog and I would think that's fantastic. I love dogs. And someone else might look at it and think that's a vicious creature that might chew my arm off because they've had an experience back in their history of dogs. So everybody looks at their prism of life through the lens differently. And it's quite a journey to be able to understand that the three choices in life are how we are going to improve our life and take responsibility for what you choose to do, what you choose not to do, and how you react to what happens to you. And then your life will change, and the catalyst that you have right now will seem a long, long time ago. And the joy will come back into your life when you start accepting responsibility for your own life and stop blaming others. And I think that's probably as much as anybody can expect to do in their life. So every day, if you can be a little bit better than you were the day before and aim to be better than you were for the next day, then your life is also well worth having. And we are all unique beings. We are so able to do so many things. We're only using this tiny little speck of our brain. And it's quite phenomenal what we can do if we just allow ourselves to be open for those things. So I ask you, what are you going to do today that's going to be different to what you did yesterday? And are you going to choose to take responsibility and ownership of your own life? And I think that's probably as far as we need to go. So, if anybody has any questions, I'm very happy to take you through those. I mean, normally what I would do here is have a little exercise, but I can't see anybody today, so it's a little bit hard to do that. So, you know, there's a few different things, but it's called flip your focus. So if you can flip your focus on what it is you're focusing on in the negative and change it to how that could improve what you've done. So rather than, oh my goodness, I missed the train, what's going to happen now? It's like, well, okay, I've missed the train. Well, that's all right. It doesn't mean that my life's over. You know, I've missed a train. So what can I utilize this time for now? Because I have to catch the last train. You know, so I've got another 20 minutes before I get on the next train. How can I make that a positive? You know, things like that. So as I can't see anybody and I can't interact with them, I suppose I'd like to open it up and let anybody ask me some questions.
Ma'am, we have a few set of questions from our side. Once we have asked those, we can, you know, open the questions from participants as well.
Yep, I'd love some.
Yeah.
Will I be able to see them or just hear them?
Let's hope that you are also able to see them as well as hear them.
I don't know. We'll soon find out.
Ma'am, if you may please stop the screen sharing.
Ah, yes, I shall. Yes, I shall. Did we have a young child having a bit of a scribble on that?
I have no clue.
It looked like a kid.
Yeah, fun.
Oh, that was funny. Anyway, that's fine. Always a bit of a laugh. Okay, who have we got?
The first question that we have is, what are some methods of coping up with pressure while undertaking or establishing a new business?
So what are some of the pressures for establishing a new business? First of all, don't be overwhelmed by the big long list. Because when you're establishing a new business, there are a few things that you can do. Now, you don't have to do them all in one go. Make a list of all of the things that you believe you must do, and then prioritize. Prioritize the ones that you're going to do. Then allocate jobs that you know somebody else can do. And there'll be a bunch of them that you actually do not need to do and you can just delete. but always prioritize what's the most important. So if you're setting up a business, the first thing is you've got to set up your business name, decide what the business name is. In Australia, the second one is that you need to get what we call an ABN, so an Australian business number. So you need to register it. If you're serious about doing business, you need to register it with the government. But the first and foremost is you need to work out what the name is you're going to call the business. Register the business, and then work out the accounting structure that you're going to do. So if you're going to be a sole proprietor, if you're going to be a company, or if you're just going to be a one-on-one type situation. So setting up a business is quite a big deal, but there are different types of businesses. So a company, you end up with shares, and you have to have a share structure. So you need to get advice from people who understand what it is that you are doing. Don't just think that you can do it by yourself. If you want to have a proprietary limited company, then please go and speak with somebody. It's worth investing the money to go and speak with somebody who understands what a company consists of. So, I mean, I was able to set mine up because I actually understood that, and I've dealt with businesses for many, many years. But when you're doing it by yourself and you just want to be, let's say, an entrepreneur, you can set up a business name, but you need to have the basics. You need to concentrate on the basics. What is it that you're going to sell for a start? Do you have a product? Are you going to sell services? You have to make a decision on what it is you actually want to do before you start to do it. And take the time. Nobody needs to get into business straight away. Take the time and small micro steps towards your business so it is a planned business. And list out what it is that you want to achieve with that business. What is your purpose? What is it that you are aiming to do? I would say that's the main thing with it. Don't overwhelm yourself with all the extra pressures. That, you know, don't make it this great big thing that's this big. Start small. It's the small micro steps. Each little step towards building up a business, and that way you've got a strong background for your business. You can be overwhelmed by just looking at, oh my God, where do I start? What do I do? Oh, I need the business cards. Oh, I need the computers. Oh, I need to have people working for me. No, you don't need any of that. What you need to do is work out a plan. Work out a plan of action, what it is you want to achieve before you dive in. And then decide what it is you need to learn yourself.
That was a brilliant answer, ma'am. The second question that we have for you is, what are some tools that one must possess to enforce a positive outcome on their expectations?
What are some of the tools that one must have? Okay, so what are the main tools are to believe in yourself? That's number one tool. Believe you can. The I can. So I have a little mantra which I keep with me, and I have it play on my phone every day, and it comes up with, I am enthusiastic, I am joyous, and I am positive. And it pops up. So I change that monthly, and it pops up. There's another one with, I'm a successful businesswoman. I am a great speaker. So it pops up so every day at different times of the interval of the day. So that keeps me focused. Now, the other thing to do also is to ensure that you breathe. Ensure that you're breathing well. So a lot of people are now breathing through their mouths. They're not breathing through their noses. And that causes stress on our body. So we need to use our nose. So the ancients all knew this. So breathing through our nose. And if you want to actually balance your body, we call it box breathing. And before going into a meeting or maybe before presenting, you can do this. And it's very, very simple. You breathe in through your nose and count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. And express for 4, 2, 3, 4. Do that 4 times. We call it box breathing. And Navy SEALs do that before they actually go out on a mission. So that will calm and balance you. Now, for relaxing at night time, you breathe in much slower and much deeper and hold it and then exhale. And that just helps to release and release your body. But to stay positive, it's a choice. It gets back to choices. It's a choice I make every day. Now, I have a lot of pain in my hands because, as you can see, they don't work very well. I've got 2 fingers that work. But every day I make a choice that I'm not going to be a victim to my pain. So you make a choice, decide, look in the mirror and say, today's the day I'm going to be positive. Now, it's very hard to stay positive 100%. I'm not going to kid you. It is difficult. And of course, everybody goes, do you ever get, and of course I do. Of course I do, but it doesn't last for very long. I'll get up, I'll go for a walk, I'll go and look at the garden. Gardens are a wonderful thing to look at to give your spirits a lift. Every hour, if you just get up for 5 minutes, breathe in, take a brisk walk, come back, sit down, that's enough to get you focused and to release your stress. If we sit hunkered down all day, work, that's no good for anybody. We must remember to take time to breathe. And research has shown that if we get up every hour and just even if it's a 45-second look out a window at some greenery, that's enough to refresh your mind. That's enough to help trigger you back. So it's a choice. It's the same as everything else. You can choose to be crapped off about things, or you can choose that, okay, today I'm not going to talk negatively to myself because I can do this. I am enthusiastic. I am positive, and I am able to do this. I'm brilliant. Tell yourself, an exercise that I used to do was go from A up to Z. It's very hard. So you start with, I am admirable. I am beautiful. I am clever. I'm delightful. Go through the alphabet and say something positive about yourself, and it switches that crap off in your head straight away. Singing is another thing. Sing a happy song. You can't be upset when you're whistling. Whistle. It helps to switch your positivity. It really does. Little things like that are what are the simple things in life. So if you're whistling, immediately you go, oh, what's that? You know, so that's how I stay upbeat. I choose to do it, and I smile. And look, if you smile at someone else and they smile back at you, it's contagious like yawning. And as I said before, if you don't feel like laughing, laugh anyway, and it will make you feel better. It really will. So I hope that one helps.
We have some questions from the participants. Yep. Shadul, Amit, could you, unmute your mic, and if you could turn on your video and ask the question, or if you're facing a network issue, I can ask it on behalf of you. Mr. Shadul Amit.
He's gone. No.
Actually, ma'am, they're facing, it's been raining cats and dogs all over India these days.
Oh,
so there are network issues. So I'll ask the question on his behalf. His question is, could you please advise us on how we can strengthen our relationship?
With a relationship with work or relationship with a partner?
He has not mentioned that, but if I were in his place, I would ask relationship with a partner.
Okay. So the first thing to work out is, what is it that you actually want to improve? Do you want to improve communication with your partner? And to take responsibility as your own. So rather than think that she has to come halfway to me and then I have to go halfway to her, or him and her, you take full responsibility for that relationship and do your utmost to improve it. So, for example, if you come home early, or you say you're going home early and you turn up late, rather than saying, sorry, I was late, allow them to and say, I will try to be on time next time. I got caught up without being able to get home early enough. Thank you for waiting for me. I appreciate your time. Bring home some flowers. You know, I mean, if it's your husband, Do something special for them. Talk to them. If you find that if you're not talking to them, or an argument, and he might be wrong or she might be wrong, it doesn't really matter. If you first technology, and you be accountable for that. So you must work to making that relationship work. Take full responsibility for making the relationship work. Don't leave it up to 50%. It's a 50-50 because what fine is that you are giving your 100%. They will turn around and give theirs. Now, in a relationship where you're setting your boundaries, that's a different thing. If somebody's overstepping boundaries or not respecting you or hurting you or threatening, and that's a relationship, and you can't improve that. And that's something else. But if you have a relationship that you really truly want to work, then you must decide that it is you that wants to make it work and take the responsibility onto you for making that work. And it might take a little bit of time. It's like those micro decisions. You might only come home late once or twice or 3 times, but the 6th or 7th time, your wife's going, I've had enough of this. And so she stops really talking to you. And then, of course, that generates a little bit more animosity. So be the one that wants to have the better relationship. And she will or he will reciprocate if it's a healthy relationship. They will not be able to help themselves. Because when you vibrate out positivity, it comes back to you in spades. But you're the one that must decide that the relationship is worth that. And if you want to stay in that relationship, be the best husband or the best wife you can possibly be. And stop expecting them to do something as well.
Another question from the participant. The question is from Roshali Doi. What are the ways to identify a new market to enter?
Oh, what are the ways? Oh, Google is your friend. So first of all, before you decide to enter into a new market, you've got to work out what your skill set is. Because we can all look at what the new markets are, but if we don't have the skill set to address that market, then it's no point. We could know that, oh, everybody wants to buy X, but if I don't know how to supply X, then that's not really helpful. So Google is your friend. So you can look up the 10 most popular things in 2020, and it will give you a list. Google will tell you everything you need to know. Google's amazing for finding out what the world's problems are. So what you need is to look for a problem that you've got to solve for. So look for a problem, and if you've got the solution, then you've got a business. That's the easiest thing to do, is to look for a problem that people are looking for a solution to, and you can offer that solution, your unique solution.
The next question that we have is, how do you think one can avoid burning out in the pursuit of something else, something big?
Sorry, so repeat that again.
How do you think one can avoid burning out in the pursuit of something big?
How do you think somebody can fall out?
Can avoid burning out.
Avoid. Well, you can't. The answer to that is you can't. Because in the pursuit of something big, you're going to have big failures. In the pursuit of something big, if you don't have a failure, you're not going to learn. So every person, look, you can look at Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of Amazon. Do you know how many failures that man had before he became that multi-billionaire? Many, at least 50. Look at Apple. How many failures they had before the iPod came out? Many, huge. Look at Richard Branson. He's had so many failures, it's not funny, but he's got also a lot of successes. Look at someone like Darren Hardy, Dean Graziosi. Yes, they're successful right now, but they weren't always successful in every venture that they did. So with any venture, if you say, I'm not going to try it because I'm scared of failing, you won't be able to be successful at anything. You've got to be willing to risk to enjoy the successes. And along the successes, you'll always have some failures. But don't look at them as failures. Look at them as learning curves. Look at them as learning curves. Well, I had a huge failure in a business that we did. Great business, big failure, because I was partnered with the wrong person and it cost a fortune. Great business, great concept, partnered with the wrong person. And that one was a failure. Where, you know, so they happen. But what you do is you dust yourself off and you don't say, I'm never going to try again. You get up, brush yourself off, learn from what you've done, because the best people who are successful have made terrible mistakes, but they've learned from them. They've gotten up and they've tried again. So you could try 755 times and the 756th is your success. So never give up, never give in until you're 6 feet under. And I think you've frozen.
A close call. How does one go about making a close call when making a big decision?
How does one go about making a close call?
When making a big decision.
A close call about a little bit more information?
A close call about a very big decision is going to be made, a very close call, like it's a very, it can go either way, like a yes or a no, which is a very close call.
Well, if you don't ask, you don't know. If you don't ever make that big decision to ask the question, you'll never know the answer. And so you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what the answer might have been. So again, it's a choice that you make. It's a risk you decide to take. And you go, okay, the benefit, how will it serve me? So I always look at if I get a no, how will I take that? Where will I take that? If I get a yes, what would I do with that? So always look at, if you're going to ask a specific question, how will it serve you? Is the answer that you want going to be devastating if you get the wrong answer? Is it going to make any difference in your life? But if it's something that you think is really vital to your success, unless you ask, you'll not know. You will never know unless you ask. And there's been many things that I have sat back and thought, will I or won't I? And then made the decision to ask. And the end result has been pretty overwhelming. And there's been times where I've got a no, but it's just a no. It's just a no. So then you move on to something else. So no is just a no. But unless you ask it, you will never know. So ask the question. Be brave. Take the risk. It only takes 20 seconds of bravery. So 20 seconds, because a minute of bravery, the first 20 seconds, once you're in there, you're done. You can't back out. So you only have to be brave for the first 20 seconds. And after that, it's done.
The next question we have from Asif. Asif, if you could unmute and turn on your video.
Okay. Hello, Karen. This is Asif.
Hello, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. I have a doubt. Please clarify with me. Okay. What if I start a business, and how do I conquer my fear of failure?
How do you?
How do I conquer my fear of failure of my business?
How do you conquer your fear of failure?
Yeah, that's
okay. You won't.
Please explain with your experience. Please explain with your experience.
So fear of failure.
Right now. Yeah.
So fear of failure is your ego. Is your ego.
Okay.
That's what fear of failure is. So
okay.
Everybody has a fear. So yeah. When I first started talking, was petrified getting up on stage. Petrified. My heart would race 1,000 times. And I think But in actual fact, it was my ego that was scared, because it wasn't about me. When I got up on stage, once I made it about you, the fear left me, because I wasn't getting up there for me. I was getting up there to share a message. So getting over the fear of failure of business. Stop thinking about failure for a start, because if you start going in as though you're going to fail, you will fail. If you have a fear of failure, you will fail. You must believe you're going to succeed, because you're powerful. You have the ability to achieve much in your life. If you go in there thinking you're going to fail, what you put in front of you is what you will get. What you believe is what will transcend. So believe in yourself. Believe you can do it, because you are remarkable. And tell yourself that you are remarkable. And even if it doesn't work, the fact that you were brave enough to give it a go, you should treasure that. And help believe that will help believe that you decided to make a choice, because you never know what might happen out of that. So the fact that you are trying it means you've moved out of where you currently are. You've moved from being there to here. That little tiny direction, that micro direction of choice that you made, that decision to try something, means that your life will start on a trajectory which is up. Now, even if you fail, you can learn from whatever it is that you did, pick yourself up and try again. So never go in with the fear of failure, because the fear of failure, you will fail. Go in with that you are going to succeed. I will succeed. I am magnificent, because you are. We have been given these most amazing, incredible physical brains that we underutilize, and we believe that we can't do so much because we are scared of what other people will think. So what you're worried about is that what are people going to say if it doesn't work? That's what you're worried about at the end of the day. Stop worrying about what other people think. And it's easy for me to say. I understand that. I'm not in your shoes. But it's about you. It's not about them. And you're going to have many people in your life, when you are successful, saying, oh, look, how easy it was for him. And people, when you aren't successful, going, oh, I could have done it better. But they didn't try. They didn't try. You did. So never, ever be fearful of failure, because failure is only an emotion that you feel. And look, I'm happy to, have a talk through LinkedIn or even through PMs on anything that you want to have a discussion about, because fear of failure, everybody suffers from that. I mean, I had a, excuse me, I had a fear, coronavirus, because my daughter has got 6 weeks to go in her pregnancy. It's our first grandchild, and we've got corona, and I can't even go and see her. And everybody around me is saying, oh, it's terrible. What will happen if? So, you know what? If I think that's going to come in and infect me, and it'll affect her. So have a joy, the fact that you are going to attempt something. And congratulations on what is the business that you would like to try.
Actually, I haven't think any of, but inshallah, it will soon.
That's good. Look, just make a list down of all of the things that you are actually capable of, or what you really enjoy doing.
Okay.
And then you can pick out your uniqueness and what you're really good at and work on that.
Okay.
We're all able to do a business. And you know what? Everybody's got a unique talent. That you've got a talent I don't have, and I've got a talent that you don't have. As much as we are different, we are all very much the same. But there's some slight differences between all of us. And that's why each one of us is able to do different things. So get over the fear. It's your ego.
Okay.
That's what it is. Smack it out of you.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Did you have any failure in your life throughout this?
Did I have any failings? Yes, I've had a failed marriage. I've had a failed business.
In your business, actually. In your business.
In my
Now
business,
you are
yes,
CEO, right?
I had huge failing of a business. It cost me over $500,000 in a fail. Now, while we made money, the biggest problem was that we partnered with the wrong people, and they withdrew the contract from us, and we couldn't sell it anymore, and it was a miserable failure. And I was working, gee, I reckon 80 hours a week just to keep our head above water, and for, in the end, something that I really didn't enjoy doing. And yeah, it was a huge failure. I learned a lot from that. I learned that you can't wear every hat, because if you're wearing too many hats, you can't be really good at all of it. And so things get left aside. I learned that trust is good, control of your life is better. I left control of some things in the hands of others, thinking that they were looking after my better interests. And I learned that you don't do that. Be in control of your finances, understand your finances, and make sure, as much as you can allocate people to look after your accounting, make sure you know what's going on. And I didn't. So yeah, I had a failing in that. I've had some bank accounts emptied out because I wasn't keeping watch of certain things. So yeah, I've had some failings, but I've learned from that, and I've learned big from that. Brushed myself off and kept going. And I'm still learning.
Yeah,
If you, don't,
I can
if
see
you
that.
stop learning, then there's something wrong. You might as well just kick your toes up.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Asif. The next question that we have for you, ma'am, is some do's and don'ts to ensure that a big decision being taken is right for all parties involved.
How do you make a choice? Repeat that again.
Some do's and don'ts to ensure that the decision being taken is, right for all the parties involved.
You can never make a decision that's right for all the parties that are involved. You can make a decision that's right for yourself. You can look at a decision, if you're talking about family, that's different. You're talking about young ones, then you can be responsible for a decision that's the right decision for a family. But when you're talking about others, you must involve them in the decision. So everybody takes responsibility for whichever the decision is. So if you're talking about adults in a partnership, maybe a husband and wife team, and this is where I came undone, because I just allowed my husband to, I said, okay, yeah, you handle that. I'll just come along afterwards. No, be involved, be invested. Because what will happen is if you take the decision making and you make that decision, they will blame you. Now, they can't blame you because they've allowed you to make that decision. And that's how that comes back. So if I've allowed somebody to make a decision on my behalf, I am fully responsible for allowing them to make that decision on my behalf. So I took responsibility for the disaster that we had because I allowed my husband to do that. I was angry at one stage, but then I realized, no, it's my fault. I let him do it. I didn't stand up and say, no, it's not a good idea. So even if you make that decision, you're not making the decision for the other adult. They're allowing you to make that decision. And just assure that they are aware that if you make that decision, that they are going to accept whatever the outcome is. And that's the only way that you can make a decision on someone else's behalf, to explain to them, if I make this on your behalf because you're asking me to, you are responsible for the outcome. I am not responsible for your outcome, if that makes sense for you. Same as when I had my operation, I allowed the doctor to take responsibility because I signed a piece of paper that said he could do what he wanted to do while I was under anaesthetic. Was I angry about it? Yes. But I signed that piece of paper. So it's my responsibility. He should have told me what he had planned, but he didn't. So we couldn't change that. However, we had a discussion about it, and still at the end of the day, I chose to have the operation. It was my choice. I chose the surgeon. So it comes back to if they allow you to make a decision on their behalf. If we're talking about adults, if you're talking about children, then if the decision ends up being not the right one, then you become responsible for that, and then make a different decision next time.
One more question that we have for you.
Yep.
How important do you think is networking in any industry? And is the myth of just getting good grades to land in good jobs true?
Very good question. So what's happening now with Corona is that we are finding that people are expecting much higher, much higher degrees for a job that they're going to pay much lower wage for, which is crazy. What have I learned through experience? I've learned through experience that I will hire somebody based on what they've done or their personality more than what it says on a piece of paper. However, in our current environment and in India, because you've got such a vast majority to choose from, grades are pretty vital in India. So what I would suggest is that you do something that you enjoy doing, because if you enjoy doing it, you will get much higher grades and you will be a happier student. So if you're doing something you don't really enjoy, change it. Are you doing it to satisfy your parents because of what goes on? You know, and I know in you know, friends of mine who are Indians, they will do whatever their parents tell them to do because that's just what you do. And a lot of them are studying to be doctors and they don't want to be doctors. You know, it's really not what they want to do. So they are finding it quite difficult. If you can have a conversation with your parents about what your dreams are really and what you would truly love to do, and have a calm conversation and look at it from their side, then you might have a little bit more of a chance of getting your point across. So in the current environment, yes, the grades are quite important right now. If you're coming out of academic work, like from school. However, if you can get yourselves in an internship and get some experience behind you, then that accounts for a lot. If you can take on some communication training, which is really important, and you can then sell yourself at an interview, sometimes they won't even look at what's on the paper because you'll be able to sell who you are, and they'll just be, my goodness, I need that person in me. I need that person here with me. So do the best you can possibly do. That's all you can ask of yourself, to do the best you can possibly do. And then you are, if you are working the hardest you can and getting the best grades that you possibly can, that's all that you can ask of yourself. And as I've said before, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So whatever grades you end up with, school's not the end of it. There's always something extra that you can do afterwards. And if you don't get the job that you've been studying for, then there's always another job. Just get into whatever it is that you can get into, and then be the best employee that you can possibly be. There's many stories where people started low, and because they did every single thing that they could possibly do to be the best in that position, they get elevated, they get noticed. So that's probably all I can say at the moment. Just unfortunately with coronavirus, there's so many people who are out of jobs. So, they're expecting the world for being a flipper at McDonald's. So just be whatever it is you can possibly be and be the best at it.
Okay, ma'am. We have exhausted with our questions. I'll ask the participants if they have any more questions. Okay. I guess there are no more questions from the participant side as well.
Okay.
It was a lovely session. It was a lovely session talking to you, ma'am.
I'm glad you
We
enjoyed it.
got so many good points about positivity from you, how to lead life with a smile, and looking forward to the personality development course where you will be there for your sessions on positivity and confidence. For all those students, for all the participants who have attended the webinar today, ma'am is going to be one of the instructors for our upcoming personality development course, which starts from 5th September. Ma'am will have her sessions explaining about positivity and confidence, which you should have during your interviews and in the industry. So people who have joined the webinar and have attended the webinar, you will be open to 10% discount with the course as well. So please do avail the discount, and please do join the course, because there's a lot to learn from ma'am as well as the other two instructors who are going to be there. Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful experience.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. And, you know, it's, if you keep things simple, don't make it hard for yourself. Just keep things simple and stay safe, everyone. And yeah, love you from Australia. And I'll talk to you again sometime soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye for
Bye-bye.
now. Bye.